the we just need to know sort of the demographics of the session, so how many males and females we have, and just the age range, just because we from Near Neighbours are meeting targets for our funding, etc. So I'm just going to launch a poll now, and if you could just answer 2 quick questions of, are you male or female, and what is your age? Under 25, 26 to 39, 40 to 59, 60 or older, and then whichever one it is. It's all anonymous, and it's just for me to just collect the data for my reporting, and straight after this I'll go into the presentation. So it should come up in your screens, and I won't share these results, it's just for my data collection. Thank you, everyone. I'll give you about a minute for this. Thank you. That's everyone. That's done. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna collect this. Thank you. There is a survey at the end where if you could fill it out, I'll be very grateful. Again, it's for our monitoring and evaluation purposes, just to see how you might have benefited from the session. And then it might ask, I think the survey includes the same question. So sorry about the repetition, but yeah, it's just part of the evaluation, as I've said. I'll just end the poll now and go straight into sharing my screen with you all. See. See, just moving my navigation is in the way. Okay, so can you all see?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So welcome to Diverting to Digital. As I've mentioned, I'm Tasnim. I've been working for Near Neighbours since February. So before this, I used to work in youth services, just sort of doing youth work. And I've done quite a few presentations on youth empowerment programs, etc. as well. And then I thought, it's time for a change. I've been in youth services for about 5 years, and I had finished my degree, so it was time for, I guess, a new sort of environment. So I joined Near Neighbours, where there's a lot of community projects. I've got a lot of community-led projects as well. And in light of the pandemic, there's been a lot of need to sort of support organisations and businesses and individuals in sort of just moving businesses and initiatives online. So that's where Diverting to Digital was created, and I've been treating it as my baby since. So yeah, welcome to Diverting to Digital. So there's a beginner's course and there's an advanced course. So this is the beginner's course, but as requested, I'm splitting the beginner's course into 2 sessions. So this first session is today, and the second session is on the 25th of September. And the long gap for that is just because of sort of many events happening in between, and we just want to make sure that the delivery is efficient, etc. So though there is a long gap, I can assure you that in between, if you have any questions or if you want to access the resources on the hub, you are more than welcome to do so as well. And then you can also attend the session as well if you want to have a discussion with myself or another facilitator who might deliver on that day. So just as we begin, just a technical difficulties check. If you can hear me, that is great. Thank you for keeping yourselves muted. I ask that you keep yourself muted unless you have any questions to ask, then you can sort of just raise your hand, and myself or Dara or Smita or somebody can just unmute, and we'll have a discussion based on questions. Also feel free to send your questions through the chat. There's no silly questions. There's no question that is unexpected. You can ask anything that you need to. If you want me to repeat myself, I am more than happy to do that. And it might be that I don't answer questions on the chat straight away, just because I might feel that I'm going to cover it later on. But if I don't, then I will definitely answer your questions if I can. If I don't know the answer to your question, then I will give you my email at the end as well, so you can just email me and I can answer your question properly with better knowledge. If you feel that you can contain your question until the end of a section that I cover, then it will help with the flow. So if some things don't make sense, it might be because I'm going to cover it in the next few slides. So yeah, don't be shy to ask questions, but at the same time, try to see if you can stomach it for a bit. So what we're going to go through and the course objectives, it entails 4 objectives. One of them is why moving your work online will improve your work. And although restrictions have eased and we are going back to face-to-face programs, and our delivery, etc., is going back to in person, there might still be benefit for people transitioning online. And one of the benefits of some of the benefits of that we will discuss today, myself and you as well. And we will also talk about what audiences you might hope to reach by moving online. So it might be that in light of the pandemic and in light of lockdown, our audiences have changed just because of the nature of the work that we're doing, or it might be that our audiences have expanded or stayed the same. And these are all things for us to reflect on as well, just to see what sort of online delivery we would like, so that based on that, the decisions that we make on the softwares we use, the types of websites we use, whether we use Skype or Zoom, etc., it will, or Microsoft Teams, for example, it will have an impact on that as well, because seeing the sort of social media uses and other digital software uses will also translate to what software we use. Number 3, we will also, in the next session, talk about how to set up a website and put it onto Google, so that more people can find you. And this is something that I didn't know was so easy to do. But it's very simple and very straightforward, and I can assure you that you will be experts of this from literally just watching a 2-minute tutorial. And you will also know how and when to use tools like video calls and social media to engage with not just your audience, but people that you work with in a professional setting as well. Any questions so far? I will take that as a no, but if there are any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Okay, so what we will cover today is intentions. So as I mentioned, reasons for moving online, and then sort of talking about your presence and plans that you and your organization might have for moving forward digitally as well. And then the next steps is moving online, so setting up your business on Google, and then I will cover Microsoft Teams, Skype, Zoom, etc., and how to access these softwares. Just a note that you don't have to take notes throughout this session, because all the resources, all the videos, the slides, everything I'm saying is available on the Diverting to Digital Hub. And the link is here, but I will send it in the chat straight after I finish delivering. And I will also forward it to Smita so that she can share it on the WhatsApp group. And I'll also share my email address in case you'd like direct access from myself. But you can literally, even if you want to just go on Google and type in near neighbors diverting to digital, it will come up. But yeah, the link will be available. So intentions. So why might we move online? You might wonder why you want to move your business or organization online. It might be to support your local community, because we can reach more people that way. You might be able to engage from people further away from your local area as well. I definitely found that to be the case at my last workplace at Spotlight, based in East London, which is the youth service, where our work was predominantly in the borough of Tower Hamlets within East London. But when we moved online, we were accessing a range of different young people from across the country. And it's not that we didn't want to work with young people within from outside of Tower Hamlets. It was just the nature of the work we did because it was niche. But the pandemic allowed us to then think a bit more differently and then reach out so that young people with different access needs could then take part in the initiatives that we had, the discussions, the workshops, and all of that as well. So it might be an opportunity to branch out from your local area, especially if generally when you have in-person events, it's like sort of like niche community events and you can't really get people to travel in, for example. Another reason might be to stay in regular contact with your customers and users. So often it's really nice to, build a relationship with each other. So I don't know how many of you are regular members of this group. I don't know if you attend every week or most weeks, but it must be nice to at least see each other's names on screen, or just seeing like just Smita. Even like I've met Smita on call like twice, and it's nice. And that's not even through an organization, it's through like partnership. But when it's through an organization and it's through a program, then it's nice to sort of stay in touch and give each other updates and just have a sense of community as well. Another reason is to connect with new local organizations. So it might be good for partnerships, and it might also be good to just connect with other local organizations where you could have collaborations, or you might just want to give each other that confidence, because sometimes it doesn't have to be like a businessy transactional type relationship. Sometimes just giving someone moral support is a good enough reason to sort of reach out and see what everyone in the local area is doing. Through that, you would also find new customers and new service users, which is quite nice. And I guess since the pandemic, it's been beneficial to work from home, and as well as finding new audiences, there might be other reasons why you might move online. So if you have anything that you feel like I've missed out, or if you feel like since last year there have been quite beneficial reasons to move online, feel free to unmute yourselves or pop them in the chat, and I'll just give you the floor to share what you think. Don't be shy.
Tasneem, I'll just speak. Others can get ready after me. But we've been very lucky that through this new audiences, through this connection, and of course the new online life that we all have moved literally overnight due to the pandemic, we have had people that have sponsored and joined us from Northampton, from Manchester, from Crawley, from Brighton, from London, from Dudley, Nottingham, Canada, America, and India. I don't know if there's one or two continents that may have been left out, but it's really brought a lot of us together in that. It's a shame that because Dhara has so much to tell us and teach us, that we don't always have time to connect in terms of the socializing aspect, but in terms of online and Daventry, I've been told. So a lot of connection for sure.
Oh, that's really beautiful. And like you said, it's really nice to be able to see what others are doing. And even though there's so much going on, like you said, and there's only so much socializing you can do, but it's nice to be able to sort of like reach out, like you said, and it's amazing that you've got a global presence now, so that must be really fulfilling. I've got a question asking Tasneem, is it safe to save all the data online? What happens when the internet drops down? Do you then lose your data? That's a really good question, and because we won't be covering sort of safeguarding and GDPR in today's session, but the next session I'll just answer this very briefly here. So in terms of data, it really depends on what data you are storing online. So for example, if it is personal data of of organizations, things, things that include addresses, things that include anything that identifies a person, things like their date of birth, their surnames, all of that, and it will identify a person, then ensuring that you have consent to store their data in the first place before it even is on an online sort of documenting like software such as OneDrive or Google Drive, etc. When your data is online, and for example the internet might stop like working, you don't lose your data because the cloud storage, so the cloud storage is basically it's almost like having loads of folders in your room, except they're not visible folders, they're stored on the internet. You can still access them from any other sort of device. You obviously will have your cloud storage password protected, so then as long as you've got a secure password, nobody can sort of hack your, take your data, etc. Some cloud drives such as OneDrive, Google Drive allow you to have offline versions of what's online. So it might be, for example, you're working on a you've got like an Excel sheet, for example, that you're updating every week, and so at the end of the week you might just sort of make that document offline as well, so that, for example, if you're in an area where you need that document or you need to access information, that is readily available offline. So the quick answer to your question is you don't lose your data, but it is good to have backup copies sort of like stored offline on your devices as well. Things like company house details, filing accounts. I think it depends on the software that's used, as I've mentioned. So if generally when you're storing any information online, you can't delete it unless it doesn't get deleted unless you or somebody else deletes it themselves. So if it's the case that you've simply just lost connection or you simply don't have access to the internet, it's still going to be there unless the administrator of that account, for example, removes it themselves. I hope that answers the question. I will just move to the next slide and continue. So we have a case study here. An after-school club is struggling to get enough children to keep going. They are also losing contact with some parents. How could or should they move online? Sorry, that's worded a bit weird there. In this case, what examples do you think would be good and relevant for the benefit of moving online? So keep some in mind. I'm just going to go to the next slide to show examples, and then you might have some more to put through. So they obviously want to keep in contact with the parents. So one thing they could do is put the club on Google for free, as Google is free to use and free to set up. They could also set up a website, so they can set up a free website, but to use more of the functions, they might need to purchase a sort of like business plan, which I'll go into in soon in the slides. They could also run after-school Zoom sessions to engage children and parents in lockdown, which is what a lot of schools did actually, and they continue to do so as well, and that allowed a lot more flexibility for attendance as well. And they could also set up a Facebook or a Twitter or an Instagram account to speak directly to parents, where parents could sort of join like a Facebook community or follow them on Instagram for regular updates on after school clubs, etc. And we're going to show you how to do all of these things in this course as well. Just got a question in the chat. Oh, okay, that's not a question, that's fine.
સૂર્યકાંતભાઈ, તમને આપણે થોડું ગુજરાતીમાં કંઈ લેવું છે તો પ્લીઝ તમે કહેજો. That's fine. Chatમાં લખો કે yes. And now Tasneem will start the actual training. This is the background and using the case study. So people just be patient. We're going to do the technical side now. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. There are three P's to there's a three P's checklist to think about before we start. So there's presence, plan, and people. So the first thing about presence is, who are you, what is your business, and what is your style? So do you have a very sort of serious professional business? Do you have an artsy business, an organization? Is it fun? Is it informative? So think about, what presence do you want to have, or what presence do you have currently in your business and organization? The second P to remember is plan. So what is the aim of your message, and what is the core sort of delivery that you hope to tell people about? So for example, if your group looks at sort of like refugee women, and your message is to incorporate sort of empowerment and fun activities for the women to come together on like a monthly basis, for example, you might want to think about what platform is best to deliver it, and that will be in your planning section to think about. And then you're thinking about, who is your audience and what do they look for? So often when we're planning to sort of navigate our businesses and organizations, we often think about what would be best for delivery and what would be best to plan. But sometimes the needs of the audience are not thought about and they're neglected. So sometimes there might need to be a consultation. And so in thinking about, the platform that's best to deliver your work, it's also good to think about the platform you will use to engage with the audience as well, and to know what they're looking for and what they need. And that will help you sort of build your presence as well. So all these P's are all linked. A quick question of what you think about is, how long do you think it takes for Google to basically set up your organization on Google? Like if I was to just ask a random question, how long do you think on average it would take somebody to set up their organization? Any random numbers will do.
Let me just say a couple of things here, Tasneem.
Okay.
I know you're all with us, and usually most of you are everyday users rather than business people. And I don't think many of you may have intention to set up businesses. Some of you might well be running it. But let me just say that Dara has always said that Google does everything. So she's often told you to even set up an email. So Tasneem is asking whether it's a website or whether it's your own personal Google account, but Google has so much to offer us, and whether it's your personal need, the plan that she mentioned, the presentation, all those things. When we go online, how do we chat? What do we do? So some of these things we can personalize it, even though it may have a business element to it. Carry on, Tasneem.
Thank you. So the answer to the question is, it literally only takes 2 minutes to set up your business. I'm just going to play this video very quickly with you all.
Listed on Google Search and Maps. You can get listed on Google Search and Maps with a free business profile that you can manage and update. Let's walk through it step by step. Go to google.com/business. Sign in with the Google account you use for your business, or create a new account. Type in your business name. If you get a drop-down and see that your business is already there, select that. Read the terms of service and privacy policy. Then click Next to agree. You need to select a business category. Start typing to see your available options. You can't create your own. Click Next. Some businesses have a location open to the public, like a store or restaurant. Others provide services in a local area, like a plumber or a home health provider. Some businesses have both. If you have a location customers can visit, like a store or office, select Yes. Type in your business address. If you have a service area too, click Yes. If you don't, click No. In this example, we clicked Yes. Click Next to continue. Now, you'll add a service area in addition to your business location. You can enter a radius around an address or a specific area, like a city or a zip code. If you do not have a business location open to the public, you will enter a service area only. Click Next. Add your telephone number and website. Click Next. Click Finish. You will see available verification options. We will show you how to use the postcard option in this video. Request a verification code by mail. If you are a service area business, you'll have to add your mailing address here, but it won't appear on Google Search and Maps. If you've already provided your address, just add your name. Click Mail. You'll receive a postcard with your verification code in about 5 days. Now, go back to google.com/business and sign in. Click Verify Now. Enter the code and click Submit. And that's how you get your business listed on Google Search and Maps.
So as you can see, it's very straightforward. It literally takes 2 minutes to set up like even like a home business. So it doesn't have to be an organization where you've got like over 10 people working with you. I have a candle business where I literally just make candles at home, and because I just wanted to make it known that there's a candle business in my local area, I just registered on Google. So you can use it with your personal email addresses as well. And if you've got like an initiative that's available in your local area, then you can definitely put that up. And oopsie, we've just gone through that. Okay, so next, so obviously you've got your business set up, so it might be quite good to just go over to our hub where we've got that exact same video, and we've also got links to what different sort of forums that Google has, where they give advice on how best to set up your website as well. Next up, we're going to go through video conferencing and the different types we have as well. So we use this video as a reference point because all the information that we have sort of links back to this video. But as I've mentioned, this is available on the hub for you to watch, and it's on YouTube, and it's sort of it takes you step by step through how to create a Zoom account. Of course, you're all using Zoom right now, but if there's any sort of other technical features that you'd like to sort of play around with or just get used to, then please do go on this. As I mentioned, the slide will be available to use as well, and the links are all on the hub. Okay, so as I mentioned, the different video conferencing that we go through in this course are Zoom, Skype, and Microsoft Teams. Just out of curiosity, are there any of these that you already feel confident with, or are you sort of like fairly on the same page for all three of them?
We might have to unmute people, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think these people are very known to Zoom and less to Teams and all, but yeah, they are known to Zoom.
Yeah.
People may be using Skype. I think a poll would have been useful, but if people want to just put it in the chat, if they've used Skype, or is there any other quick way, technical people, that we could gauge people's experiences?
Yeah. Let me try if we can quickly put a poll on this.
Whilst Tasneem can carry on, Dara, if you can do it straight away, that'd be great. Also, people may be using Zoom, Tasneem, but they may not have created their own Zoom.
Okay.
So there could be a difference there as well, because a lot of people are using Zoom, but may not have really had their own account set up.
Yeah, definitely.
Dara, if you want to keep it ready, maybe we could try Zoom and come in after that for the poll. Yeah.
Yeah, just give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can continue till then.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, carry on, Tasneem.
All right, thank you. So just to briefly summarize these three, Zoom became really big throughout the pandemic, and most services started to run over Zoom, and they started to give different charities and some charities, and mostly sort of school-based accounts and youth services accounts, longer access. So there is a 40-minute cap at on sessions, but through purchasing plans you can make it longer sessions and sort of like unlimited as well.
I'll just
For example.
sorry, Tasneem, just a second. I'll just mute everyone. You please unmute yourself again.
Okay. Thank you, Dara. So Skype is also good for video conferencing as well as Teams. Skype is more good for one-to-one sessions, whereas Teams is more for like sort of business communication and discussing with colleagues, etc. Yeah, so those are the summaries. I'm just looking at the poll. So so far, there are more people who have used Zoom, 88%, 6% have used Teams, 6% have used Skype. That's perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. So I will share the results. So this is what you all have shared with us. So of course, everyone's been using Zoom here, and Teams and Skype is not as common, but I guess that sort of reflects on, I guess, what I've just said about Skype and Team being less used than Zoom, but Skype being more for like one-to-one sessions, etc., and sort of like chatting as well, and Teams is more for like business purposes because there's different elements of file sharing, etc., available as well. Next up, we're going to look at sort of bad video call behavior. So what we'll do is we'll watch this video together, and then we will, as you're watching it or straight after the video, just list however many examples of bad behavior that you can think of. There's literally many behaviors that aren't appropriate for video calls from start to finish. So I can assure you that you won't fall short on any, and you'll definitely have quite a few to pick up on. So I'll just play the video, and then as soon as you can pick some up, feel free to put them in the chat.
You must be aware of that, don't you? God knows what you're doing if you're not. Start this meeting, or shall we elect an alternative chairman?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just in a meeting at the moment. Can I give you a call back when you finish? Yes. Okay, all right, bye.
So, Chairman, albeit late, shall we get this meeting started?
I can't see Jackie Weaver.
Is this woman? Right, we'll start the meeting, and I want to repeat what I said at the beginning of the last meeting, that this meeting has not been called according to the law. The law has been broken. It has been properly called. Will you please let the chairman...
Mrs. Weaver, please.
To disrupt this meeting, I will have to remove you from it.
You can't.
It's only the chairman who can remove people from the meeting. You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver. No authority at all.
She just kicked him out.
No, she's kicked him out. Don't. She's kicked him out. Don't.
This is a meeting called by two councillors.
Illegally.
They now elect a chairman.
No, they can't because the vice chair's here. I take charge. Read the standing orders. Read them and understand them.
Dear me.
Appalling behaviour.
Chairman gone.
A copy of this will in fact be sent to the monitoring officer.
To be respectful to Jackie Weaver.
Here comes the subpoena.
Chairman?
She's kicked Barry out, so I'm leaving. Barry, no, Barry.
Video call behavior.
Have a change meeting, you fool.
वीडियो कॉल का गमे ते बातचीत करने गाड़ी ये बताए
Weaver, I find that the person on Alec Bruton's Zoom is being very disrespectful to everybody.
Oh, coming from you, from Burton, the chairman of the council. I noted that his label on his video said clerk of Hanforth Parish Council. Could anyone please clarify how that came about and whether that is in fact the case right now?
Taking out.
It is not going to be finished this side of Christmas.
But that would get the flavour. I think that's a very good compromise. Yes.
Okay, so that was a very hectic meeting. So I'm just going to look through the chat and just see what everyone has said. Oh, busy chat here today. Let's see. Can't see full face, a lot of background noise. What it's telling us to be clear, interrupting each other, talking over the other person, lots of interruptions. This incident happened a few weeks ago. Yeah, this is a very popular video that happened towards the start of using Zoom and Teams, etc. At the beginning of the pandemic, and it literally went viral all over the internet. So I've been using this as an example here. A lot of shouting, it's becoming a one-to-one meeting, and not example as a council. Definitely they're not using proper names or job title. Yeah, because as you've heard, they're talking about sort of like the chairman and all of these other roles that they have, and they're being quite I guess not just unprofessional, but there's quite rude remarks, etc., being made, and things like not showing your full face, and if you're going to show your face, you might as well not just show the top half of your head, right? So that's a good observation that everyone's made. Urvashi said not representing the organization in good spirit. Exactly. So even if everybody meeting is from the same organization, we should be sort of still having positive attitude towards everybody. And like you've all mentioned, and I'm sure there's so many more that we haven't been able to mention yet. There's so many sort of bad behaviors that we should try to avoid. I think the most basic one we can ever do is just muting ourselves when we're not talking. It sounds like being in a classroom, but it's really just easier to hear each other and actually have a conversation going rather than just sort of shouting and screaming at each other. Because if this was in person, you can only imagine what could happen. Exactly, the host can't control them. Perhaps the host wasn't aware of how to sort of mute everybody as well. So another thing that they could have done was at the beginning of the meeting just having some ground rules. So for example, if you feel that you're meeting with somebody online, whether it's one person, whether it's a couple of people, whether it's a larger group, just sort of having some ground rules that will sort of get everyone on the same page. So now we will go to the next slide. So from this, obviously, we know to mute ourselves unless we're actually speaking. If your internet connection is poor or lagging, turn off your video so that your audio is clearer, or to use the chat function, which is why I turned off my video. Sorry, I'm not at home at the moment, which is why. So when I'm sharing my screen, I just find it easier to just turn my video off. So it's easier for like my audio to be clearer than it would have otherwise. And also just ensuring that your devices are working before starting your meeting, especially if you're on a sort of like tight schedule, and you've got like a busy, like other people have obviously got lives to get on with, so you don't want to be making everyone wait for you as well. Oh, and something has just popped up here. Just give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, so the next thing to think about when reflecting on responsible video conferencing is looking at the risks of any online gathering as you would for an in-person gathering. So remember that you're still vulnerable for people, I just got my words mixed up. You're still responsible for vulnerable people, even if you aren't sharing a room with them. So just as if we might have a community event for it or something like that, in person we would have a risk assessment that would be conducted. So then you would also need to have the same over Zoom as well. And always remember that when we're delivering online, it doesn't necessarily mean that if we only see one person on the other side of the screen, that there isn't anybody else in the room. There might be other vulnerable members sharing the same space with them. So just being aware of what we're saying, how we're saying it as well. And if you're having a private conversation, then just to ask if there is anybody else in the room as well, so you know sort of like what conversations you're having, etc. So an example of a risk assessment is shown on the screen here. You can use this table and sort of edit the risk and follow through. If you want to access this risk sample, it's on the hub as well. The steps to go through is, talking about what the hazards are, who might be harmed and how, what you are already doing to sort of protect those who might be harmed, what you need to do additionally to manage the risk, who is going to manage the risk, and when is it going to be done. And when it's done, you need to take it off and make sure it's signed by somebody senior as well. So one of the hazards of an online meeting might be unknown meeting. There might be an unknown list of people just attending meetings. You don't know where they've come from, you don't know what they want. They could have some malicious intent sometimes. They might just want to, they might just end up sort of just causing a lot of disruption and just harassing somebody or something like that. Who might be harmed and how. So for example, especially if there are young people in the meetings whose identity might be exposed, they are more at risk than adults. So although it's everybody at risk, you can specify that it's more young people especially. What are you already doing to safeguard everybody? The answer would be to use passwords for meetings and only sharing the details and the passwords with those who are going to attend the meeting as well. Is there anything else you need to do to manage this risk? That would be, to avoid making passwords publicly available, unless, for example, it's like a video conference where it's open to the public anyway. But if it's sort of meant to be like a closed meeting, then to only ensure that those recipients of the Zoom link are those who actually are going to be attending the session. Of course, we have Zoom's waiting room feature where you can only allow those who you anticipate to attend the meetings. And then once you feel that you've got everybody in the room that you want, you can just lock the meetings, which means that nobody else can be able to join. And some ways of also managing this risk would be to only allow people if they are using the cameras, or at least for the first session where they just say hello and they can turn it back on again. Of course, these are all optional, and depending on sort of your background and your sort of organizational background, you can decide what is beneficial. And the person in charge of this would be like the youth leader or the meeting leader, and the action would be done immediately. And depending on the risk as well, the timescales would differ. And just ensure that the risk assessment is followed through as well, so you're minimizing risks. So that, for example, if there is an incident that occurs later, for example, somebody's identity is compromised, or somebody starts being sort of like bullied online or something, and their identity was found through one of the meetings, then at least you can go back and see what might have caused that issue and how you might have minimized the risk as well. It's more to save your own back and make sure that you don't put yourself or anyone else at risk. The reason why these suggestions are important is because you want to avoid, limit and prohibit one-to-one video conferences with vulnerable people. So always make sure there's at least 1 or 2 other people in the call. If you hear or witness something that is concerning, make sure that you have a safeguarding procedure in place. So all organizations should have a safeguarding procedure, and you should know who the designated safeguarding people are as well. If you're unsure, then contact the person who is organizing the event or the call. You should also have a specific dress, language, and behavior code to match normal work standards if it's a work organization. If it's a social organization, of course, that's different. You should also avoid recording calls as they require full consent. And remember that once consent is given with anything, it can be withdrawn at any time as well. So for example, you might have a group of people who have given consent for recordings to be done, but literally even halfway through the session, somebody might say, actually, I don't want this to be recorded anymore. By law, you have to stop recording because they have withdrawn their consent. Also, if anybody's not following ethical guidelines and organizational guidelines, you can minimize risks by removing participants. And obviously we've seen in the video that someone was, oh no, you can't remove me, only the chairman can remove me, etc. But actually, if you're causing disruption to others, you can be removed. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, using waiting room option to control who enters a meeting, not advertising the meeting ID or password, and agreeing when and where meetings will happen if they happen in staff homes. And obviously you will apply these based on when you see fit. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the case that all of these have to be applied immediately. It just depends on what's best for your delivery. Just to go on a little pause after this, since it's been it's now been 55 minutes into the session, so I will give a quick 5-minute break to everyone, just so you can like grab a glass of water or something, or stretch your legs. You've been sitting in front of your screens for a long time, and obviously we want to make sure that you're feeling energized for the next part. So please take a 5-minute break and we'll move on to the next session. Thank you.
Yeah, whilst people are fetching their coffee, I'd just say that we have been extremely lucky over the last 3.5 months in terms of the etiquette that you've just narrated to us, Tasneem. Touch wood, so far we've not had any incidents, no unwanted, nothing of the sort. So, but I'm sure people who run organizations and who run Zoom meetings, they'll probably find what you've just mentioned quite useful in terms of what the etiquette and how to behave. I'm conscious of the time. Usually we don't break as such, but people can fetch their coffee. And I know we still have the other 2 aspects. Presumably we will hopefully go into how to use Microsoft Teams a little bit, because people might find that in Skype a bit helpful.
So I won't be able to do a walkthrough on Teams or Skype on here, but we do have the videos on our hub. I will actually just share the hub with you all,
That'd be
the
great.
link with you all, and
Mhm.
you can see the videos through there as well. While everyone's going through their break, I will just navigate the website with you too. So let's just share this and then.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is a lot on it, isn't there, Tasneem,
Yeah,
that people can actually benefit from.
definitely.
So that we'll certainly share it on our WhatsApp group. So quite a few people can, and some of them are quite small and very apt.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much. And it's good to know that the etiquette in your sessions are like up to the standards that you basically need to run these sessions. Because as you said to me, you all meet every week, and it's nice to have that trust with each other that everyone's going to, just respect each other and just respect the space as well. So
I'm the only one who's been picked on. We have our Sashi auntie, Dr. Sashi Mehta, and I've always been used to calling her auntie. And she said that is not good etiquette, her husband says. So apologies to Sashi.
Oh, well, it happens. Okay. So this is the Divert into Digital page. So as you can see, it's just an introduction to the whole course overall. We give based on the introductory beginner session and advanced beginner session, you see what content is available. So in the advanced session, which I didn't go through today, we go through analytics of social media and Google, SEO, which is more complex stuff, and then sort of creating content and more advanced Zoom features as well. The local hubs button here is to sort of just take you to the near neighbours hubs that we have here in England, but that's not related to today at all. The slides are here, so they're all I'll make sure that the most up-to-date slides are uploaded by the end of today, and then you can basically just download them. If you feel like seeing what the advanced slides entail, have a look at it. You're more than welcome to download anything, even if you haven't attended a course. And if you feel like, I might want to do an advanced session, you can just contact us. And then all the videos that I'm mentioning in the slideshow, they're literally all down here, and it's just really easy to, even the bad behavior one, but it's really easy to navigate through and very user friendly. So so I'll just stop sharing that. I'll just look at the chat to see if I've missed anything. Can you have an attendee register in the waiting room? Do you mean to register in the session?
Is it
yes, in the session.
Oh, okay. I don't think that Zoom enables that, but usually you can. What you do is, if you're, for example, managing Zoom yourself, if you're like an administrator on your Zoom account, when you go into the web browser, it allows you to look at who's trying to access. So so when you're actually running the session, you don't have the full report, but straight after the session, you can get a full list of attendees who's attending your session. So that would be that's more in our advanced session that we go through sort of the analytics and reporting and stuff. But if you want to send me an email regarding questions like these, I can send you more details on this. So I'll just send my email. Okay. And you can email me there. How can you reach new audiences? So there's different ways. If you already have an existing social media page, it might be that you promote yourselves through social media. Another way is through contacting other people who have, a platform already, and they can sort of give you some recognition and give you some sort of promotion. You can also use sort of existing trending trends. So for example, in the next session, we'll be going through the different social media platforms. So it might be that you're it's going to be all sort of waffle right now because we're not going through Twitter today, but Twitter, there are trends like hashtags, etc. It's a bit like Google, where you type in random words and everything related to that turns up, shows up on your page. So like on Twitter, for example, you're looking at I don't know, like a festival that's related to a certain time of the year, and then anything that anyone's posted relating to that would come up, similar to Facebook as well. I will just see what's left. Okay.
So, Tasnim, if there are no other questions, we can move to the next topic, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So it looks like we're going to be finishing a bit early because I'm going to start on social media and sort of the benefits of using each, but I won't be going into the walkthrough today. That will be the next session, but I will start it right now and then we can...
Are we looking at Microsoft Teams?
No, so the video would be on the hub instead, where my colleague did a walkthrough of it.
And Skype?
Similar to Skype, so that there's a link on the hub for that as well. Let me see if I can...
You could just cover a quick overview or talk it through. I think that will be helpful because some people in the chat hadn't used Skype as such. Okay,
I actually would you like me to play the video for that?
How long is it?
So it's a playlist on YouTube. Let me check the hub quickly, just bear with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people, because when we had the chat, there was quite a few, which I didn't realize that so few have used Skype and Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
So be useful for them to just get a little bit understanding and knowing what it's about and how it looks.
Definitely.
Okay.
I think what I'll do is I will share the screen on the YouTube because we still need to upload the walkthrough from us on the website. So I will share my screen for that. There's one 1 minute 20 second video.
Oh, that's fine. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah.
And the next one is a 2 minute video. So I'll play all of them. It will come up to 3-4 minutes, and then any questions.
Okay, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
No worries. So I will just share my screen with you. Oh no, where did that go? Okay, start with this one then.
Skype for Windows Desktop is packed full of features to help you share special moments. Let's take a quick tour to help you find your way around. Here on the left, you'll find a list of your contacts and conversations. Conversations with unread messages are highlighted with an orange dot. Select a conversation or contact to bring up your chat history with that person. Instant messages, emojis, emoticons, and more are all shown here. This is where you send stuff from. You can either type a message or click on the paperclip to show ways to send photos, files, video messages, or contact details. To get the full Skype experience, use these buttons to start a Skype audio or video call. You can also add someone to the conversation or change your language settings for Skype Translator. This area has a lot of useful features. You can return to Skype home, open the dial pad to call landlines and mobiles, or start a new conversation. You can also search through your contact or search the Skype directory to find new contacts. Last but not least is you. Your profile picture, display name, and Skype status are shown here. If you click on your display name, you'll see your profile on the right. This shows what people can see about you when they search for you on Skype. In the Skype help and support articles, we often mention the menu bar, which you'll find here. You can do a lot from the menu, so take a moment to explore the items there. One important thing which you'll find on the menu bar under Tools is the Options window. It's the place for you to set all kinds of preferences for how Skype works, including your privacy settings.
Okay, so that was... Oops.
Sometimes you need to call someone.
Okay, so the next video is about landlines and what's it called? Making calls for that, which you won't need. But I will just show you the video on how to make a group video call on Skype. The first one's for iPhone, and Android's quite similar. So I'll just show the iPhone one for now.
Group video calls from your iPhone are a great way to stay in touch with friends on the go. First, add everyone to the group. Tap the camera icon to start your video call. Add more people to the call, even after it's started. You can turn your video on or off once the call has started. This button lets you switch between the front and back cameras. You can also control how you see your group here. This mode will focus on whoever's speaking and is useful for large groups. You can also tap people's video icons to give them center stage. Tap here to return to viewing your group in a grid.
So they're the two videos that we referred to. Does anyone have any questions regarding just Skype in general?
Maybe we can unmute everyone.
Yeah.
If people want to share their experiences of having used Skype, that would be helpful. Most people might know that nowadays you can actually use WhatsApp as well to call 8 people on. So I don't know if people have used that too.
Yeah, WhatsApp's a really good one.
Yeah, but this was interesting that you can just press and the people who's speaking. So it was quite an easy one, it seemed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I've not used a lot of Skype, but my friends have used a lot for teaching Sanskrit and other things.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So whilst if people have any other thoughts on Skype and whether they've used it, it'd be lovely to share your experiences. But in the meantime, Tasnim, do you want to get ready with, have you got a video for Microsoft Teams, please?
I don't have any content on Microsoft Teams, but I might have a video to
That would be good for them to have a look at.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Keval, it was interesting how you mentioned that the business use of Skype has finished. Do you want to just come in, Keval, whilst Tasnim is loading?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so basically the Skype business version is what the new Microsoft Teams is. So what we'll see is a change from Skype over to a Microsoft platform, and that will gradually happen. it's still a good platform to use, and you can still, use it for personal use. But over the next couple of years, you will see it phase out and move more over to the Microsoft Teams platform. There's many other video conferencing platforms. If you want to use some for personal use for your family, again, I put a list up, but ones that we've used and we definitely recommend are AirMeet and Zoom, obviously the one that we use. Some of them have slightly different features and functions, but it depends what you want to use it for. If you've just got a family gathering, I think Zoom, it perfectly, covers what you need to do. So it just depends what your personal usage is.
So Keval, Tasnim, tell us when you're ready. Keval, you mentioned all that list. So people generally one-to-one use FaceTime, and with WhatsApp you can have 8. So is there a similar number with iPhones and Apple at all? Or would that then move to Skype or Zoom?
I mean, WhatsApp is an independent platform, so whether you use it on Apple or Android, it's going to have the same features as would any of these platforms. It doesn't matter how you access them. They don't provide a separate preference for either Android or iOS, but ultimately they provide their own platforms as well. Like you said, you can just call directly off them. Sometimes, because there's a lot of new platforms, we start to try to use everything when really just using your basic phone call or just a simple video call from WhatsApp, if you just want to talk to someone, it does everything you need to do. So for the bigger meetings like this, for a session like this, you would definitely need one of the platforms that we've mentioned. Depending on what we want to do on our session, that would decide which one of the platforms would be better. For example, on Zoom, we can have break rooms, but on AirMeet, you can actually go and sit on different tables wherever you want. Each table can have a different heading about what you are discussing. And then depending on who is in this whole session, they can choose which table they want to go and sit on and listen to what is more appropriate for them and not the rest of the group maybe. So you can split the group up differently that way as well. So it really depends on your personal use. And again, I think Tasnim mentioned it earlier, if you are doing a session on Twitter, personally, I think it'd be one of the best platforms for all the people here. We've been doing this and I've been supporting it since April. And I think speaking to all the people here, listening to their questions, their talk, I would definitely recommend Twitter as one of the first platforms to learn, because I think they would enjoy it most as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we definitely have that coming up. So, and you had, Tasnim, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready to play Teams, and yeah, Twitter is something that we're going to go Twitter, Facebook, and Insta. We're going to go into the next session in September. Thank you for going through that. So I'll go through Teams and then we'll wrap up and end the session because we're prepared for these two, and then we'll do the rest of the content in September.
Welcome to Microsoft Teams, a collaboration app to help your team stay organized and have conversations all in one place. In Teams, you can see a list of all the teams you're on. Teams are made up of channels. You can build them by topic, department, or just for fun. Channels are where the real work gets done, where you hold meetings, have team conversations, and share files. At the top of each channel, you'll find tabs for channel posts and files. You can also turn your favorite files, apps, and services into tabs. When you share a file in a channel conversation, you and your team can edit it at the same time and share thoughts alongside it. Go to the Files tab to find all the files that have been shared in a channel, or Files on the left to see all files shared across teams. Use chat when you want to talk privately with a person or a group. Select New Chat at the top and type in a name or names. Then type a message and send it. To make a call directly from a chat, choose video call or audio call. If your organization has it set up, use calls to call anyone from Teams, even if they're not using it. In Calendar, you can see everything you've got lined up for the day or week, or schedule a new meeting, webinar, or live event. This Teams calendar syncs with your Outlook calendar. To join an in-progress Teams meeting, select Join. Select options for your camera and audio, then select Join Now. In a meeting, you can choose to record the meeting or share content from your device, such as a PowerPoint presentation. Go to Activity for a view that lets you catch up on all your unread messages, app mentions, replies, voicemails, and more. Use the command box to search for specific items or people, take quick actions, and launch apps. And download the mobile app so you're in sync when you're on the go. Now bring in your colleagues and let the teamwork begin.
So that was just an introduction to Teams. But when you are within the application, and you need help on sort of like, you know, whether you need to create a team with people, etc., how to join a Teams meeting and all of that, they have more videos available on their website. And the reason why we didn't recreate it is just because the resources are already available on the Microsoft Teams website. So we didn't want to sort of not just refer to Teams in the first instance anyway. But I mean, I use Teams for work, and honestly, it's really easy because we have say for example, in a sub team we've got about 8 of us, but then we're working on different projects. For each project that you're working on, you could have different sub group chat names, so that way, like, you could be talking about several different topics with the same people, but in different conversations, if that makes sense. So I would say that's one of the usefulnesses of Teams. Has anyone, I think somebody in the poll said they've used Teams before. If you'd like to, like, maybe unmute yourself or pop in the chat how you might have used it and how your experience was.
People unmuting, they're very quiet today, Tasneem.
Maybe it's the weather. It's a really nice day outside.
Yeah. I did use Teams. I'm speaking from CICD with Leicester City Council when I was having a meeting. So it's good. I think they send me information and then it was easy to log in and all that. But sometimes I felt that the picture quality was not that good, you know. So it was, but it's just, at least I could communicate, and they wanted to do it through Teams because they use Teams at the borough councils. So
that's interesting. You're right. The video quality, unfortunately, isn't that great on Teams, and sometimes the screen might freeze. So I think they still need to sort of patch up on that. But in terms of, like you said, updates and things like that, it's a lot easier to just have everyone in one place. Yeah. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Nilima.
Yeah,
Nilima
no
Devi,
problem.
Great. Nilima Devi is a great dancer. She's an MB as well.
Oh, nice. Nice. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But let me just say about Microsoft Teams. Yes, as Nilima Devi said, the council uses it a lot. I hear, and my niece tell me, NHS uses it as well. And I think what you just showed on the video, the difference perhaps between Zoom and other packages are that with Teams, you've got all the documents there, and they can work simultaneously. So that's why for businesses and corporates, so you're not doing and throwing with emails and other things. It's all pretty comprehensive. So people who are probably running businesses or in corporate places will probably find it very, very handy in that respect.
Definitely.
Dara, have you got experiences of Microsoft Teams in India? Is it well used among corporate companies?
Yes, it is. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the companies have shifted to Teams because, like, They find it very easy for their employees to communicate, and you can already create the organization over there. They can set up their whole organization over there, so they know how the communication is happening, and they can also have a trails of how the meetings have happened and everything. So
And
Teams is very useful on corporate.
another Google one? So it integrates a lot with other Google stuff as well, would you say?
No.
No.
No. It's a Microsoft product.
Okay. So it's different.
It's a Microsoft product. So Microsoft means so it is connected with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, because they're also the Microsoft products. You understand that?
Right. Chandrakant Pai says he uses it with his Black minority groups, but it is a bit difficult. I find sometimes if you've not got the calendar to get into it and enter, I find it a little tricky as well, to be honest. But yeah, it's the way to go, because as Keval said, Skype and other things aren't going to be used by businesses. So Microsoft Teams will be increasingly popular, I guess. Yeah. So we're slowly coming to the end. Tasneem, have you, people can think of their questions, but Tasneem, before we ask Keval and Tara, have you got things to say first to wrap up?
In terms of the content, we've covered everything from today. If you do have any questions, please do email me. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. I know there's a lot of information overload. You know, if you want to think about, before we go through the topics in September, if you would like to just talk about, you know, things like websites, what options do you have, etc. Because obviously September is a long time, like September 25th is a long time away, it's over a month away. And if you want to think about, you know, different platforms, if you want to, you know, if you need help with setting up with Teams or something like that, anything, just email me. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for just having me here today. It's been lovely speaking to you all and just seeing some faces and some, you know, just, you know, the chat has been quite busy as well, so I've been trying to just look at it where I could. It's also lovely that you all meet on a weekly basis as well. It must bring a really good sense of community amongst you all.
Yeah, usually we have nearly 60 every week. I think it's, as I said, there's so much going on, but I'm happy Leicester City have won, so I'm pretty happy.
I think it is holiday period as well, so people are on holiday.
Indeed, yeah. But no, thank you very much, Tasneem. We really appreciate it. It is different. I hope that people have stayed with us, which is great, because some of it, as you rightly said, can be quite a lot of information overload. Although it was organization and business based, but I'm sure we can use a lot of what you've told us in our everyday online life that we all are living nowadays, as it were. And we look forward to the September session. We are very grateful that you've given us and you've shared your email with us. So people like Chandrakant Pai and others who run organizations, Nilima Devi, if they wanted to come directly to you for anything specific. I think the bonus, I hope everyone's listening, is for you to share your hub, which has got so much that people can benefit from. So I think that will be really useful as well. So we appreciate that a lot. And finally, to do service to Tasneem and Near Neighbors and Beth, who has organized from St. Philip's Center, and Tasneem's colleague Edward and others, our very great thank you from all of us. But the survey, Tasneem, do you want to, it would really help them if we could just get the survey done. Tasneem, I just want to check, is the survey anonymous? And will they be kind of linking into any of their information as such?
So the survey is anonymous, and there are questions about you know, male, female, your age, and just your ethnicity, and then it goes into today's contents for the course. So the questions about your demographics, so your identity, is more for our reporting purposes, just to show that we're working with different people, different communities across the country. So in terms of your name and stuff, we won't need any of that. Just your gender, your age group, and then what ethnicity you fall under, and the information will only be used for monitoring and evaluation purposes for our funders, to just see that we're doing the work with the people that we said we'll do the work with. So and the following questions will be to do with how beneficial you might have found the introductory content, and if there's something you don't understand, feel free to email me, or you're more than welcome to write NA for something that just doesn't apply to you. So yeah, thank you very much. It will be very, very lovely if you could do the survey. It will take you a couple of minutes, and you've spent an hour and a half with me already. I'm sure you can spend another couple of minutes for me. Thank you so much. And yeah, I look forward to meeting you all again in September. And I hope you will have a lovely summer.
Sorry, we've got this survey link on the WhatsApp as well. I've already sent that out, and we'll put in a reminder. So I think, yes, it would really be helpful if people can do that. Keval, have you got anything from the chat or any other observations you'd like to share with us? To
teach on all this, how to use all this. Oh, it's not live. Oh, it's diverting.
I've just put up another poll just to get some, just for my personal understanding, just for if I can see if it's made any difference to you all. And if it hasn't, then that's okay as well. It will help us know how to deliver.
I think it is a knowledge all the time you're absorbing, it's a technical knowledge, and you keep on learning all the time. So
absolutely spot on, Nilima Devi, spot on. Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Chandkantai. And like I said, you'll be able to use the hub aspects as well. So check that out. Maybe you could email me the link, and then I'll put it up on that as well.
I'll email it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. So I think, Keval, did you want to, that's a good score as well. Tasneem, you've done very well to improve. And as Chandkantai Nilima Devi said, everything is knowledge, and you're always learning, and it always helps.
Definitely.
So your presentation was very good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
People didn't find it tricky in terms of Gujarati, but time is never enough for us to do simultaneously. But we can always work on it if there's specifics that you want us to cover in following weeks. So Keval, did you want to come in before we break off in a couple of minutes?
I think, no, we've covered everything. All the chat issues were covered. Just obviously the links to the surveys there, if anyone wants to press it indirectly from the chat. But no, I think we've covered everything.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you much.
Dara, behind scenes, Dara has been working very hard today. Dara, she's been trying to sort out our previous videos as well, and then to get the workshop list up to date, because some of you are continuously joining.